Here, everybody, Spectacular, the Silver Stacular. Going to talk in this video about the coins that started America. And it's not going to be about the Morgan silver dollar by any means. No, we're going to talk about the Spanish coins in this. If you have actually had a red book of coins in your hand, which is a United States coin book, you're going to see something like this at the beginning of the book. And this is actually, again, the red book of coins. But you'll see some information about the old Spanish coins, which were realistically the first coins in America. So if you are a United States coin collector and you're not at least a little bit interested in the old Spanish coins, you have to really ask yourself, why? Why? Because these are the coins that began America. You can see right here a milled Spanish pillar dollar right here in my hand. This is from the Mexico Mint, 1760, right? Look at that. And obviously we became a thing in 1776, but so there you are a few years earlier, 16 years earlier. Here is a coin from 1729, 8 real. And again, this is a coin of America. This is a coin that started the Americas basically, right? This was the beginning. And so although it's not technically America yet when these were around, but I mean, this is the beginning, 1749. Look at that. So I just kind of want to bring a little shout out to some of these old Spanish coins because as a collector, I absolutely love them. I love the history. I love the shape, right? Just the rudimentary, like, hey, this is what we got going for us. This is what we have available. We got to make these things as quick as possible and get these back to Spain for the king over there. And a lot of times that didn't work out so well, either by natural disaster or whatever the case may be. A lot of these coins stayed in and around the seas of America. Look at this, 1709, getting close to the 1600s, which there were plenty of these old Spanish cobs in the 1600s as well. And the cobs would typically be the ones that I'm showing here, the ones with a rough shape, whereas the milled dollars would be these right here with a much more coin-like shape that we're familiar with. Cool pieces of history. Now, I will say that before you start diving deep into these right here and just going to the depths on these, you may want to do a little research onto what you're getting. There are, believe it or not, counterfeit cobs out there. And you can see that it would be something that would probably be kind of easy to counterfeit, right? You just make a little splash of silver somewhere and stamp something into it. And so there are a lot of resources out there for you, especially on the internet, to identify real from fake cobs, but you definitely want to go from a super trusted source when you're buying something like this. And but if you learn what you're doing and you are comfortable, you can really benefit from the hobby with these things right here. Look how neat. Just everyone is like a snowflake. And a lot of us like coin collecting because that is something that allures us to coins, right? That each coin is a little different. However, every cob, I would argue, is way different from the other. In fact, I have on the screen right here 5 Spanish 8 real cobs, and you tell me how similar they are to each other. They are so different in shape alone. It is so interesting. And so there's a lot of research on these because they were around for quite a bit, but there's also a lot of mystery behind these as well. And so that is part of the fun of collecting such a thing right here, that they're still learning about Spanish cobs, although they were around the Americas for a long time. And this was money. This was money that was utilized around here. And in some cases, it was money that was trying to go back to Spain, but just never made it. Very cool piece of history. And also, there are, of course, gold versions right here, escudos. And you can see this piece, which has its own specific history, which makes cobs just so much more interesting to me, and is the shipwreck stuff. So you can actually see a piece right here that is from the 1715 fleet, which was about 11 ships that sunk off the east coast of Florida in 1715. And that was due to a hurricane and the ships being a little late to go back to Spain. But the hurricane ended up messing up all of the ships. And the tail of that is basically at the bottom of the ocean. And a lot of these coins ended up getting excavated hundreds of years later from the ocean. Just a neat piece of history. But here you go with a little doubloon, a little 2 escudos from that shipwreck. So the history is a lot of fun. And so this is not a video intended to really describe the history, although there's a lot of information here for you to learn about. You can learn about the Pillars of Hercules and what the design is all about, and the Straits of Gibraltar, obviously, and the Plus Ultra, meaning going further beyond the Pillars of Hercules and into the New World, basically, and what all the meanings is, the Spanish Cross and the Spanish Shield, the Leon and Castile merging to create what we know now as Spain. All the history is for you to go research. This is not about that. It's not me trying to dissect it for you. It's just me trying to interest you in a coin that maybe you didn't think about, right? Which, again, I've said this in many of my videos. If you are a U.S. coin collector, consider the old Spanish coins, because those were the first coins of America, period. And so as beautiful as Morgan dollars are, or bus dollars, or seated Liberty dollars, or any coins, of America, old large 1 cent coins, et cetera, as great as they are, the half Disney, all these coins which were early on in America, they're great, they're wonderful. But if you want the OG, the original coinage, you got to reach out to the Spanish coins and learn about those at least a little bit. I remember going to some forums many years ago, probably a decade ago, on the internet, and learning about Spanish pillar dollars. And I was like, wow, absolutely in love with the information there. Here you can see one that's actually has counter strikes all over it. So very cool pieces of history for sure, and from Spain. And I tell you what, Spanish collectors, and not as much like Spanish like let's go Mexico, Cuba, Puerto Rico, etc. I mean, like, people from Spain that collect coins are big time into their own history. And it's just a fascinating part of our hobby. And it's just interesting too that, I mean, many people don't even know this part of it, that it actually was mentioned in our United States Red Book of Coins, because they acknowledged that this was the beginning. So if you want to go back as far back as you can go, think about some of this stuff right here. Just do your own research for sure. Learn who to buy from, and how to get the stuff that's legit, because again, there are counterfeits that are out there. Unfortunately, our hobby is chock full of people that want to make a dime off of your dime. And so be very careful out there and buy from legit, reputable sources. I got to go for now, just trying to sprinkle some thinking into your brain right there to help you out into your journey. But definitely consider these wonderful pieces. And, as far as collecting things that are different, you will find no other option that are as different as the old Spanish cobs. They are just absolutely so different, each and every one. I got to go for now. Spegtacular is out. Well, hello everybody. I seek to educate and entertain through my journey of collecting coins and stacking precious metals. I encourage you to subscribe, and please stay with me on this journey. I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular. When I was a kid, we did this every day in school, and I believe we need to bring this back a little bit, and I'm going to start right now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.